Hey everyone, I think we are live. If not, we will be very, very soon. Hey, how you doing? Looks like I've got audio levels. That's always a good thing. And welcome to another Morbid Monday. It is 2 days before Halloween, if you can believe that. So let's have is what I was aiming for there. Some Halloween fun. So yeah, hey, let's talk about what's been going on around the network in the past week. Don't mean to sound dismissive of that. I'm just pulling up the page. Um, let's see. What do we have since last we spoke? These nights ago. You got your podcast by the cemetery, episode number 7 on haunted house movies, including Legend of Hell House, one of my favorite movies. Oh my goodness, I think that may be the movie tonight. Yeah, just saying the name does my heart good. So yeah, we'll. Anyway, got distracted. Hey, what's going on, Derek? What's going on, Alan? Welcome, welcome. Back to my list. Where was I? Oh yeah. Distracted myself again. Morbid Mondays. That's the show you're watching right now. Oh, hello. This is the Doom Show. Did an episode on Night of the Demons 3, another movie that I inordinately like. I know it's not a great movie. It is not quite as bad as, say, Your Winter Beasts, but I don't know, man. There's something real hammy about it I really like. That I feel like that's a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve in a weird way. It's been a while since I've watched it, but I remember that one always being one that stood out to me as being particularly goofy. Anyway, the Psychosemantic Podcast, episode 45, on the film Snowpiercer. With oh geez, who is the guest on that episode? I am forgetting his name now. I feel so bad. But it's a great interview. I highly recommend you listen to it. It's one of the guys maybe from They Must Be Destroyed on... No. Anyway. Fuck. I should just... Hold on. Let's get you the real info around here, because you need to listen to this episode, folks. It's Lance of the Horror Returns podcast is the gentleman's name. So, again, highly recommended. It's super fun. Rabbit and Red continuing their Halloween, their move through those films, through that franchise, getting to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, what I would vote for, one of the worst. Look, John loves those movies, and I would never take that away. I'm not that kind of jerk. I want him to love those movies. I just can't do it. Podcast on Haunted Hill, episode 66, on the film Phantasm. That is a movie that I'll be talking about soon, in one form or another. Devour the Podcast. I keep doing these review episodes for Devour. I hope you're enjoying those. I'll get to the comments here in a sec. I can't see them right now. But yeah, I really like doing those. And like I said, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to make those their own thing without building in a whole lot of production time. That's what's fun about doing them. It's just kind of raw. It's just like, all right, here's some movies I've been watching and my thoughts on them. And so I don't know. I want to do something with it, but I also can't keep up that pace of a movie a day. That was, that was planned for September when I wasn't even this busy. But we'll do something. I'm curious what that thing turns into. Rabbit and Red also continuing the look at the Halloween films with The Revenge of Michael Myers. I believe that is number 5. The VD Clinic. We talked about Halloween already. You don't need to know my shit. VD Clinic, episode 18 on the movie and book The Haunting. Of course, hey, speaking of that, that review episode, there's one of them Devour episodes where it's me and Court, Psyops from Cinema Psyops, and Vanessa from Devour and the VD Clinic and so forth, talking about the Haunting of Hill House miniseries. So if you want to hear prolonged thoughts on that, there's an hour of discussion about that mini series on the front end of that episode. I think that's the week 3, maybe. It could be the 4th. I don't know. These things go so fast. And what else? Oh, Pick Six Movies, the season finale of Pick Six Movies. We did The Wolfman. And I thought that was a great time. There's a couple of jokes in there that I really enjoyed. Cinema Psyops, speaking of court, is back with Movie Stack Jenga on the Candy Tangerine Man, which I have not seen, and I want to see it based on that title alone. Who Will Survive dropped an episode this very day. Episode 20, continuing his review series. And I don't know if Who Will Survive inspired the Devour one. I think, no, because I wanted to do it in September. And I started doing it then. I think it was just a happy accident, but I kind of like listening to their shit and like, what are they into this week? Marco and Paul over there. And then finally, look, drop this very day, and I'm glad to be the bringer of good tidings here. A new episode of Hello, This is the Doom Show, number 163 on Night Gallery and Route 66, which I haven't listened to yet because it dropped not 12 hours ago. And I just haven't had the time to yet, but dear Lord, I will do so. I will go to my grave telling you how good Hello, This is the Doom Show is and how much I enjoy it. Okay, let me catch up. Alan, saying fun. Gary saying, what up? Thank you, sir. What is up with you? Oh, hey, while Gary's here, let's do this. If you're not on the Patreon tip, you certainly don't have to be. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying it'd be nice if you did. But over on Patreon, we dropped the Halloween episode, like the OG 78 Halloween. Me and Gary and Scott from Podcast by the Cemetery, and just kind of chatting around Halloween, talk about how great it was and what we liked about it and blah, blah, blah. Let's see. Maddie is here. How are you, sir? Great episode as always of Friday the 13th. Lee says this season Pick 6 was really great. Keep up the great work, sir. Thank you very much, Lee Russell. Yeah, man. It was a lot of fun to do. It was a lot of work, but we're already like, I was talking to Chad today about the movies we're doing, for next season, which will be just in a couple of 3 weeks. So don't sweat it. It will be back before the end of November. But it's, the War on Christmas movies, is the next season. And I'm looking forward to it because we're going to fucking roast some sacred cows, I think, in that season. Naomi is here. Hey, Naomi, nice to see you again. Paul is here. Hey, man. Gary says, looking for volunteers for a season run through the new Sabrina series, possibly this weekend. I'll let you know, Gary. I'm not all the way through it yet. I don't know if I'm going to have time to get through it, but I dig it. I like that show. So I don't really have it in my notes to talk about Sabrina, but I will, because the buzz is good on that show, good enough that I watched the first couple of episodes, and I had a great time with it. I mean, it's very there's a lot of soap opera, there's a lot of teen drama to it. Don't kid yourself, it ain't that highfalutin, but it gets pretty grim and it gets pretty gruesome, and I like that mashup, like that, two great tastes that taste great together kind of thing, of this teen drama and this kind of gruesome supernatural story are kind of working for me, so I dig it. Check it out. And Gary, I will let you know if I make it all the way through. I'll let you know in the next couple of days. Alan says, I've been inflicting Naomi with my favorite bits from the last Pick 6. Really great stuff. Oh, thanks, man. I will pass this along to Chad. Chad is, he's married, got a kid, he's got shit to do, and I'm as social media averse as I am. He is worse than me. We're just old men, old grumpy men. They ought to make a movie called Old Grumpy Men, quite frankly. It's the Asylum version, maybe. But thank you. Thanks for listening. And, please rate and review if you haven't done so. Lee says, Hill House was the best series I've seen since Better Call Saul. High praise indeed. Didn't think they'd be able to do Jackson's work justice, especially since they essentially spun off a new story from the original. Yeah, man. Like I said, we talk a bunch about that in particular, and how I said, like, this is the Stephen Kingiest Stephen King movie that ever Stephen Kinged, is the Haunting of Hill House. And I stand by that. I mean, look, Shirley Jackson, when we talked about this on the show, Shirley Jackson inspired Stephen King, and I think, we've seen enough Stephen King adaptations out of Mike Flanagan to understand that there's a vibe that Stephen King lays down that he picks up. And yeah, and I mean, all work together, but it felt, maybe more Stephen King than Shirley Jackson much of the time, but that's fine. It's like a really good version of The Shining. It might as well have been called The Shining, It probably bears as much resemblance to that. But yeah, I agree. I thought it was great. It scared me, and I can't, give anything in the horror world any higher praise than it legitimately scared me. It creeped me out. It was good. It was good family drama as well. Gary says, I would not say no to anyone being on my tip. Doesn't even have to be consensual. Hashtag not speaking for everyone. All right, well, fair enough. Abraham here. What's going on, sir? Salutations. I was watching The Witch today. Oh, The Witch. The Witch. Yeah, that's gonna happen tomorrow night. Tonight was kind of like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch Trick or Treat again. I mean, I should, but I'll probably watch that sometime Wednesday anyway. So yeah, I think Legend of Hell House tonight, and then yeah, the Vivitch is happening for me very soon. Alan says, Chad isn't real. He's like a hand puppet or something, right? Yeah, it's like Edgar Bergen doing old-time radio, like ventriloquism over the air. Yeah. No, he's very real. He's a wonderful dude, and I've known him literally since kindergarten. I've known Chad since kindergarten, which is, 40-ish years at this point. And it was his idea. Better yet, the show was his idea. Oh, yeah, I don't know that you guys want to hear the brutal history of that show's beginnings, but yeah, we have a lot of fun. And thank you again for listening. Lee says Hill House killed the hell out of Rose Red. Yeah, totally. Like, Rose Red came up on the conversation that we had, Court and Vanessa and I. And I was like, yeah, Rose Red's not very good. Let's not bullshit each other here. Let's see. I watched Hold the Dark and really liked that. I haven't gotten all the way through Hold the Dark yet. I will. I haven't gotten through The Apostle yet either. Man, I was going to watch The Apostle, and then I watched the Sabrina show. And after I watched it, I was like, I'm going to watch an episode of that and then The Apostle. And then I got a second episode in, and at that point, I was like, man, The Apostle's over 2 hours long. It's a haul. But yeah, I need to see that. Because Gareth Evans, I think is the gentleman's name who did the Raid movies. Holy shit. Love those movies. Gary says, currently watching Zoltan, Dracula's Dog, for the recording tonight. Absolutely bonkers. Man, I still contend that the craziest movie I've watched this month maybe was Amityville 2, The Possession. Way more incest than I was expecting out of that. I don't know. Call me naive, I suppose. And Abraham saying, did you see that Halloween is the box office champ yet again? I did see that. I think that's awesome. 'Tis the season though. Like, they launched at the right time, and the zeitgeist is right for it, and all that stuff. Like, that movie, I hope John Carpenter is getting checks hand over fucking fist for this thing. He has been bitching about how little he got paid for Halloween for, 40 years. The 40th anniversary of John Carpenter bitching about how little they paid him on that movie. Yeah, I hope he gets a giant nut, man. I hope he makes so much on this Halloween he can make his own little movie whenever the hell he feels like it. Pro John Carpenter around here. I like his attitude. It's got a very, very Motor City 5 kind of vibe, and I like it. Paul confirming that Apostle is Gareth Evans, and you say stoked for it. Alan's and this is a question I was going to ask anyway, so I'll launch into something, and you guys fire through the chat. What are y'all Halloween must-watch sentimental faves? I can't resist Something Wicked This Way Comes. By the pricking of my thumb. Something Wicked This Way Comes. God, that scene in the library with Jonathan Pryce ripping the pages out of the book. 40. Still old enough to know better, you know. Oh, that shit is so good. That's a I wonder if I got it in me to watch that and Legend of Hell House tonight. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. But yeah, you guys definitely answer in the chat and we'll compare notes. So, all right, let me talk about one thing. We'll keep it loosey-goosey. It's the Halloween episode of Morbid Mondays. We'll just chit-chat about horror movies that we love, if you want. But to, while you guys give us some, options, let me chit-chat about, one thing. I don't know. In light of what we're doing, do I want to talk about this? No. Here's what I want to talk about. We're doing a little game time decision here. And let's kick it over to this. Hey, let's talk about Ghostwatch. Fucking Ghostwatch is great. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. Speaking of, this will tie into the sentimental favorite thing. So, I think 1992, I think, is the year. They decide they're going to do Ghostwatch, right? In a very Orson Welles War of the Worlds move, the producers of Ghostwatch are like, hey, don't say anything about this being a story. You know, like a make 'em up. Let's pretend this is real. And so it presents itself, even though I'm sure that if you looked in the TV guide or whatever the British equivalent of that is, the telly guide, that it said like, hey, there's this special called Ghostwatch, right? But the deal is that it's a camera crew going into the most haunted house in England, and it's a crew back in the studio that's like interacting via satellite with them, with the reporters, and like taking call-ins with people who have their own spooky stories. Heck, my grandma used to spin a yarn about a phantom train, you know, that kind of stuff. And then it just starts getting weird and creepy and shit starts breaking down. And it's great. And it's on Shudder. And if you've never seen it, I can't recommend Ghostwatch enough. It plays with the form in a great way. It's legit scary. It's real creepy. And it does kind of that Haunting of Hill House thing of like seeing shit behind you all the time. And I really like it. And I want to bring it to your attention for Halloween. If you've got the Shudder service and have kind of cruised by Ghostwatch, give it a look. It's really cool and creepy. Another British series that I think is still available on Shudder is a Dead Set, which is a zombie film, zombie miniseries that aired in the UK, and it's great. So yeah, Ghostwatch in particular, though, it just, boy, I've had such a good time watching it again. Hey, let's see what our sentimental faves came up with. Abraham says, do you think Jason Blum is trying to get John Carpenter to make a film for Blumhouse? I mean, why wouldn't you? You know, because when was The Ward? 2010? Like, if you were like John Carpenter's first film in 8 years, but more like, you know, 20 years really. I don't know, when was Ghosts of Mars? That feels like the last one that he kind of cared about. At any rate, I mean, again, love John Carpenter. Yeah, why would you not want to rope him into the fold if you're like, hey man, here's $5 million, do whatever the fuck you want. And that's always what John Carpenter has wanted to do, is whatever the fuck John Carpenter wanted. And so it might be the like a nice meeting of minds there, but it's also like, does John Carpenter want to go through the grueling schedule of directing a movie? Because it's a tough job, and you're in charge of a lot, and you got to juggle a lot of balls, when he can just tour around the world playing his themes and writing his own music and shit. Like he just wrote the new music for Shudder, as a matter of fact. So yeah, why not? You know, I mean, if he wants to, I would love it. I would love it if he came back and was just like, I've been thinking about some weird shit. I think that would be great. Let's see. Lee says The Haunting and the Herzog Nosferatu are my Halloween go-to films. The Haunting I've watched this month, and it's, of course, it's so good. God, that is so good. I like Russ Tamblyn a lot in that, because I like Russ Tamblyn from Twin Peaks, and you know, he's the doctor in Haunting of Hill House and whatnot. The new miniseries. And it's a fantastic. The Haunting is must-see viewing. Nosferatu, I'm not as must on that one. I think it's cool though. I think it's a really good movie. I think they're great choices. Not my personal choice. I agree with you on The Haunting. I've really been wrestling with it this year. It's been kind of ghost stuff when I can get my hands on it. And because of Haunting of Hill House, I think that's really got me in the mood for a good like ghost haunted house kind of story. So yeah, Haunting for sure. Something Wicked This Way Comes is a great one. I can't believe I haven't watched it yet this year. Legend of Hell House is a big one for me. We'll see what other people are thinking about. Alan says, agreeing about Herzog's Nosferatu. Fine. You're fine. It's fine. Abraham says, my Halloween must-watch film is always The Exorcist, although this year might add something else like the OG Halloween and maybe Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. See, the Hellraiser movies don't feel very Halloween-y to me for some reason. Exorcist, for sure. That's great. OG Halloween, you can't go wrong. Like, no matter how many times I watch that movie, it's always good. When we did the commentary for the Patreon, patreon.com/Legion Podcasts, when we did the commentary for that, even watching the movie again, I was like, fuck, this is good, man. The music's amazing. As many times as you hear it, hearing the music in context with the film, there are great performances, especially from Jamie Lee Curtis in that. The kids are pretty good. Like, it's fucking lightning in a bottle, you know? It's like Jaws or something. Every time you watch it, there's some little moment that you can find in that film. A lot going on. So good. Like this year, I got eerily creeped out by that shot of the headlights splashing across the inmates, like at the very beginning of the movie. And even in the commentary, you can hear me be like, man, that is creepy. You know, just the lights finding a bunch of inmates just wandering the grounds, you know, like gibbering to themselves. It's really unsettling. Lee giving Ghostwatch some love. Naomi says Ghostwatch is the scariest fucking movie Al has made me watch. I love it. It's real good. It's real good. Pipes is fucking scary. Lee also agreeing good. Paul says Satan's Little Helper is a Halloween favorite here. It's terrible and wrong-headed, but it's also Halloween as shit and has lots of Amanda Plummer. I can't argue with that. Any Amanda Plummer is good Amanda Plummer. And, you know, the Mo Plummer make it Mo Funner, I think, is the saying. Alan says, that's me being a jerk and a saint at the same time. Yeah. Like, turning someone on to a really scary movie. Like, I got a friend of mine to watch Wreck who doesn't watch, likes horror movies, but doesn't watch a lot of them. And I was like, you need to watch Wreck. Like, this is shortly after it came out. And when I checked back in with her, she was like, that was genuinely one of the most unsettling experiences I've had watching a movie. It's good movie. Paul says, I just showed my son Idle Hands and think that will be a new Halloween tradition. We like funny and stupid more than scary and spooky. Yeah, Idle Hands, I've never seen. I gotta be honest, never seen Idle Hands. I know a lot of people love it. I haven't caught up with it. Maybe at some point. Feels like a Pick 6 movie in a weird way. Naomi say Murder Party is pretty good. Recent rewatch after 5 years didn't change that. I really like Murder Party. It's one of the first feature from Jeremy Saulnier, who has done Green Room and Blue Ruin. Is that right? Did he? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the one that his main actor or one of his main actors is always directed a movie of his own that was very similar in tone. At any rate, Jeremy Saulnier is great. Green Room is fucking rad. But yeah, Murder Party is funny. I like the juke that he tries to do in the costume. Gary says, what about Free Jack, Amanda Plummer? I say this because of my love for Emilio Estevez's body swapping movies. I saw Free Jack once years ago, and it left no lasting impression. I remember that there was Mick Jagger in it. And that's kind of all I remembered about it, was that Emilio Estevez. I would not have told you Amanda Plummer was in that movie. Clearly, I need to go back and watch it again. Let's not be foolish. Hey gang, just an FYI, we're like 7-8 people away from being able to have our own fancy URL. So if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. We don't, like, I do this every week, and then we post video when I can do it. But there's definitely a new one coming soon. So I've been going through the, I got the one little, look, I don't want to bring the room down, but one little bone I got to pick. So I watched, Summer of '84, that is now on, Shudder. And I want to say a couple of quick words about it. I'll get into detail about my thoughts on this movie when I do the review, which will be on Halloween. My last review thing will be on Halloween, or for Devour. So I like the premise of this a ton. And I, again, had a problem in this movie with that served up nostalgia. Like the character that was, talking about, I wonder what she turns into when you splash her with water in relation to fucking gremlins. And like all the pop culture shit. Like, there's stuff in it I liked. Like, there's the G.I. Joe walkie-talkies. I was like, okay, well, that seems like a very natural, organic way to fit those kind of pop culture references into your film and have that kind of nostalgia. But, like, I grew up in that time, and I would have been very close to the characters' ages in Summer of '84. And they talk like assholes. Like, if anyone I knew was quoting every movie that much, it was like the kind of jerk that would quote Austin Powers lines to you all the time, like someone that was like, "Oh, behave," like a little bit too long in the run on those Austin Powers movies. And right, like that guy was a jerk to begin with. Like nobody hung out with that person, and certainly not 4 of them all together. At any rate, there was a lot of the dialogue that I thought was real groan-worthy in regards to that stuff of like, oh my God, he's talking about Ghostbusters. It's that kind of shit that I just don't have any time for. It's, I don't need to be, it's the South Park member berries. It's like, yeah, that's a thing I like. You don't have to put that in your movie. You just do your movie. And if it has, like, it can be set in the 80s and have stuff like, oh yeah, they've got the G.I. Joe walkie-talkies and, even the Star Wars bed sheets or whatever. Like, I had those when I was a kid, fine. But when every character is just constantly talking about like, ooh, Rubik's Cube, man, totally 80s. You're just like, fuck, stop it. That's not helping. People talk like they talk now. They just talk to each other, And every now and again, like if you're talking about a specific movie, that's one thing. But to constantly be referencing the most popular things that came out of that time period. Like, it's not like they're all discussing like, The Legend of Jared Sin or some shit. Or Solar Babies or some weirdo 80s nook and cranny. It's just pop culture regurgitated and being sold as entertainment is my problem with it. Like, I like a lot about Summer of '84. I just get so frustrated when, you know, that's all the movie is. Um, it was something, because we were doing Lost After Dark as a period piece, and there are elements of that, like the music is certainly evocative of the 80s, which I'm fine with. You can give me synth pop and synth wave anytime. Um, but we didn't want to have all the characters just spouting off about like pop culture shit at the time. And you can say we were unsuccessful at times. Like, you still want the characters to be rooted in that time period, and maybe we crossed a line somewhere, but it is certainly not falling on the summer of 84 side of things, where it feels like so much of the appeal of that movie seems to be designed to be the nostalgia factor. But that said, like I said, I think it's a good movie at the end of the day. But it felt worse for its celebration of the time period. Like, just play the time period. Don't point a finger to it all the time. Anyway, it's like the director making the camera a character in the movie. That expression of like, there is so much attention paid to the way the camera is moving that it becomes an essential element of the experience of that film. And that's kind of where I think that Summer of 84 lands with its appeal to nostalgia, or attempts to appeal. Let's see. I don't feel at home in this world anymore, Paul says, is the Saulnier protege movie. Yeah. Macon Blair, I think is his name. And I've heard great things about that. I just haven't seen it. Lee says, all Free Jack informed me on was Mick Jagger sticking to one movie a decade was a great idea. Yeah, he's not, like, for a rock star, he's not a great actor. Not that I would argue there are many in that league. Sting is not a great actor. Madonna certainly was not. She just gave up altogether. She was like, okay, not for me. I get it. Yeah, there aren't a ton. Steven Tyler, of course, in the Wayne's World films. He's quite good in those. You're worthy. So, Gary says, I'll watch So I Married an Axe Murderer any day of the week. I got a lot of time for that one, too. I like that. Abraham saying, can we expect a new DBCC episode soon? Yeah, man. It's just been a weird time of scheduling, for both of us, in a lot of ways. But yeah, we're doing a commentary very soon, which is just another, like, cork in the dike, before the deluge of, like, we've got that Coen Brothers Western series we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing True Detective, of course, in January when that comes back. As far as doing, like, movie-based DBCC episodes, Duncan and Bo Come Correct episodes, for those not in hip to the acronyms. I don't know when we would go back to that format, because we have such a good time doing the recap stuff. Although we do it on occasion for special movies, and I may try to pin him down to do one of those on Bohemian Rhapsody when it comes out. So Alan says, regarding Jagger in movies, performance is enough. Yeah, that's a real shitty movie. I've never made it all the way through it. Lee says, Summer of 84 may put off those that tire of films that fetishize 80s pop culture, but the last 10 minutes are well worth the wait. It ends well. There's no doubt about that. Look, you can dislike a movie or elements of a movie and still like a movie. Nuance is allowed. And so there's a lot that, like, that movie has me at arm's length too much, where I'm just like, just knock it off, tone all that shit down a little bit, and this movie would be fucking rocking. Paul says, So I Married an Axe Murderer is a masterpiece. Yes, agreed. I mean, the movie has its problems, and let's not bullshit each other. But I'll tell you what I really like about So I Married an Axe Murderer is the scene with Phil Hartman, of course. What was his name? Betty? Anyway. Oh man, Phil Hartman's so good in that. Abraham says, Summer of 84 was vastly overrated in my opinion. I thought the whole first hour was meh. After that, I enjoyed it, especially the last 10 minutes. Yeah, it's a lot of build-up and a lot of, like, some of that, I prepared myself, because I'd heard that it was kind of backloaded as a movie, but, I felt like it moved at a good enough clip. Like I said, a lot of things I liked about that movie. I thought, I'll shut up about Summer of 84 right now. That'll be in the next Devour the Podcast review bit. I'm teasing it, trying to promote material. Gary says, thanks for the Solar Baby shout out. Jamie Gertz still foxy after all these years. Oh, sure. Lee says, the formulaic plot and dialogue seems a setup to make the end more effective. Film is perhaps saying that many of these films don't capture what life in the 80s was like. Maybe so. That might have been at the heart of it. But if that's the case, then, why are you becoming what you behold, sort of thing. Merely presenting a nostalgic facade, then the film bashes nostalgia over the head with blunt reality. I can kind of buy that, but at the end of the movie, it still looks like Dean Cundey shot it, it looks good he did, and I wasn't smart enough to notice it. It didn't seem glaring, but like some shift in color and even maybe in the camera or something, like really drive the point home. I see what you're saying. I'm not saying it ain't there. I'm saying I don't think it landed that clearly. Alan says, I like the idea of 84 kicking the nostalgia in the balls. And again, you're trafficking in it too. You will refer to him only as Dr. Stingenstein, says Gary. Yeah, from the Pick Six, Stingenstein. Man, his if you watch the movie The Bride for no other reason, his outfits in that are fucking outlandish. It's wonderful. Lee saying Bowie was great as an actor, in my opinion. I agree. I like Bowie. I think he's real good in The Hunger and The Man Who Fell to Earth and shit like that. I think he's good. Paul says the directors of Summer of 84 need to make another movie. They also write like Turbo Kid. This was a pinch hitting job for them. Maybe so. It's still not a terrible film. Gary says, got to go out on my lion face, lemon face for the show tonight. Have a good one, ladies and gents. Have a good one yourself, Gary. Appreciate it. Lee says, I'll say I only have that opinion for Summer of 84 after one watch, so yeah, it might just suck ass overall. I'm not saying it sucks overall. I'm saying that it's worth a look, and if you don't have the problem that I did, like I try to acknowledge that I have a baked-in prejudice against films that really amp up the nostalgia side of things. And anyway, as a result, when a movie like this comes along, I'm like, I know it's me, it's not it's not you. Anyway, what other stuff did I want to hit up? Got that coming. Okay, hey, let's talk about what's hitting the streaming services this week, because it ain't nothing. Because not only do we have Halloween, which no streaming services are really launching anything more for Halloween. Like, you kind of got what you got. But it's been a real nice serving this year, especially with the stuff Shudder's been doing, I thought. But at any rate, the beginning of the month brings some shit, so let's talk about that. Netflix is bringing Bram Stoker's Dracula, which we did a Pick 6 episode on, and I love that movie. I think it's real cool. I think it's got problems, but it's good. Cape Fear, which doesn't have problems. That's just a great movie. Both the Scorsese version and the original, but I think this is the Scorsese version in particular. Children of Men, which isn't technically a horror movie, but it kind of is, right? It's an apocalypse movie. Then there's Cloverfield, which is pretty good. You got your From Dusk Till Dawn, which in many ways is more influential than it kind of should be. But that's a fun movie. I still like that movie. Scary Movie 2 and 3. Scary Movie 2, I remember actually thinking that was funnier than the first one, but I couldn't tell you. It's been a long time. Lee's got to go. Hey, thanks, Lee. Appreciate it very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for your informed opinions. On Hulu, starting November 1st, you got both the Addams families, at the Addams Family movies. Oh my God. And I haven't been drinking. Those are great movies. I unabashedly adore them. God, I didn't sit down and watch them both, but I got bits and pieces of both of those movies over the past 6 weeks or so, and it's good stuff. Count Yorga Vampire from 1970. That will be dropping, and that's a movie I don't know that I've ever seen. Count Yorga, maybe. Was that the one we watched for Devour years ago? Maybe. I'll have to look. I thought that was... No, we watched Fearless Vampire Killers, and for some reason I equate those two films. Hey, Mad Max, the original Mad Max is hitting Hulu on November 1st. That is an interesting movie, especially in light of what comes after. But it's cool. It's a fun little grindhouse movie from Australia. Rollerball, both versions of Rollerball, forget they ever remade it. The one from 75 with Jimmy Kahn and Edward Albert. It's fucking dope. You should watch the original Rollerball is good. On Amazon, they've got 2001 Maniacs with Robert Englund and Krista Campbell and Lynn Shay is landing, and it's okay. It's real gory. It's gleefully gory, but also does not hold up super well. Is not a great movie in light of today's common ethics and morality. Also, Assault on Precinct 13. I want to say that's the remake of that, which is on... Oh, wait, no, it's not very good. I almost said it's all right, and then I was like, no, fuck that. It's not good at all. Candyman, Day of the Dead, which is the third Candyman film, I do believe. Child's Play, OG Child's Play, that's a great movie. Hostel and Hostel 2. One of those, I think, is really good. Jacob's Ladder is fun. And then you got your Mulholland Falls, which, again, not technically a horror film, but I'll allow it. I think that there is more horror than not in there. So, and then Shudder has not released their schedule yet, at least not that I could find. I hope. I'm buffering on my end. I don't know if that's up or down. Anyway, so we'll wrap this up, and oh, there we go. Now it's back. Abraham says, Dracula stabs a stone cross and it bleeds. How? Why? Vampire magic. That's all you need to know. And Alan saying Rollerball is amazing. So, okay. So you guys are getting buffered. Wonder why that is. Sorry about that. Apparently got internet issues on my ends, but hopefully that will clear up in a second. So again, very sorry for the buffering. And let's wrap this up since we're having some problems here. Hey, patreon.com // Legion Podcasts. Please, if you're enjoying this stuff and all the shows we do and whatnot, you'd be doing us a great favor to subscribe over there. Also, hey, I was going to talk about this at another time, but let's drop a little tease here before we call it quits. And that is the next Devour the Podcast is going to be a special episode, and we're doing the Blair Witch franchise, the whole damn thing. The head, the tail, the whole damn thing. So, hey, we're getting prepped for that, and I hope you enjoy it. And anyway, thanks for sticking around as maybe some video problems have presented themselves. I appreciate it. Also, do me a couple of favors. If you're enjoying the shows, rate and review and recommend them to people you know and all that fun stuff. Also, I need you to do me another favor, and that is to have a great rest of the week, a fantastic weekend, and join me back here next week on another Morbid Monday. Also, happy Halloween, everybody! It's 2 days away. Have a great Halloween, and we'll do some special stuff on Halloween for your ear holes, and have a great time. And if you're going trick or treating with the kids or our kids yourself, I hope you get lots of candy. And if you're staying at home, I hope you get some trick or treaters to bring a smile to your face, and give them good candy. Don't fuck around with those peanuts. All right, bye everybody.